Welcome to ASEAN BIZ, your only choice for business updates covering ASEAN countries. I'm Andrew Chia.
And I'm Eric Chong.
And we bring you business news on everything that happens around the world that involves ASEAN countries.
Yes, our direct main story today is Top 10 Skills for ASEAN Executives in 2020. But before that, let's look at our current business updates on the topic of the G7 Summit.
Yeah,
Yes,
recently,
Andrew.
a few days ago, they had the G7 Summit. G7 is the richest 7 countries in the world.
Yeah, that's why they call them the Group of 7 Nations. So maybe, Andrew, you can highlight to our listeners which are the 7th country that is the richest in the world.
I believe it must be countries like America,
Japan.
Germany, Japan.
Right?
Is China one of them? Not mentioned.
There's a big question mark whether they recognize China as one of the richest or not. Okay.
Seems that they are not there. So the finance ministers, they were having a meeting on the 21st May, a few days ago.
Yeah.
And among those present, of course, were the U.S. Treasury Secretary, Mr. Jack Lew, and German Finance Minister Wolfgang Schäuble, and Bundesbank Governor Jens Weidmann, and finally Bank of Japan Governor, what's his name? Can you pronounce?
I really can't pronounce it.
Mr. Haruhiko Kuroda.
Kuroda.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
so it looks like the whole summit is talking about money.
Of
money
course,
and money
definitely.
and money.
Finance
But
ministers.
what I can say is the locations of this particular summit is fantastic. You look at the island surrounding the resort is beautiful. It's a very beautiful place in Japan, and this year they are holding it in Japan.
Yes, they talk about many issues. Among the main issues they were talking about was the exchange rate between the US JPY.
Right, and they talk about the Brexit, whether they are concerned about Brexit, you know, and Greece. I think Greece is a history already. Why they are still talking about it?
It seems that their previous round was still a bailout. They have not exited yet.
Or they are just discussing how to recall the loan from Greece, asking Greece to pay up.
Yeah, because they haven't done the Grexit, so they are still talking about it. So mostly they spend a lot of time talking about the exchange rate between the USD and the Japanese yen.
And I believe they talk about those issues surrounding other countries beside the G7 countries, like countries in poverty.
Yeah,
They're talking
spend a
about
bit of time
world.
with that.
They spend a lot of time talking about that, and they talk about the infrastructure, the global infrastructures, how things going to work around their respective countries, the connectivity of it, and most of all, they hardly talk about who owns who money and how to pay it.
That is a sensitive issue, a little bit political, right? And that is supposed to be the main issue, the huge debts owed by the America and Europe.
So what's so interesting about this particular summit for this year?
The hot topic, of course, is the US JPI as well as the Brexit, whereby is Britain almost going to exit the EU already, because there are few important things they are thinking about. Number one is the influx of the illegal immigrants, which they cannot control since it's open border, right?
Yes.
EU, you can travel freely, so that is a bit of concern on the security side.
Yes,
And of course
the issues of terrorism
Yes.
and the issues of refugees crossing countries.
right, economically they have to think about the lending money to the other poorer members of the EU, right?
Lending or roping in money from the EU.
I mean, England and Germany are supposed to be the richer members of the EU, so
Okay.
by right they should be lending more money. So that could be one of the reasons why England wants to pull out.
Wow.
It's not going to lend so much money already.
If Germany keep on giving out loans and helping all the so-called not so well-to-do nations, will there be a germ seat later?
You mean Germany will exit
Germany will
themselves? That is
So-
supposed to be the strongest country. Yeah, what do you mean if they exit?
If they exit,
Finish already,
finish
kaput.
already, then the EU will actually collapse in this instance.
On the
uh,
other hand,
uh,
Britain will have to think about the immediate recession which follows if they exit the Eurozone, because a lot of traffic will not be going into England and trade will slow down immediately, right?
yeah,
And
and
it'll take about a year to adjust back.
looking at some of the trend now is a lot of people are moving into Ireland because first of all, Ireland is much cheaper to commute and much cheaper to stay there. And in fact, a lot of my friends have been sending their children to Ireland for studying instead of UK. So that's, you can see some trend changes here. But on the summit, if they are talking about the exchange rate of US and JPY, I don't see what the relationship of them talking about it. The exchange rate is floating in the market,
Japan is very concerned.
and during this recent month or recent weeks, the Japanese yen has been quite strong against the US dollar. So
Maybe Japan wants to depreciate a bit.
maybe they wanted to make
improve their
their
exports.
currency weaker to improve their export and try
Right.
to compete with China or or Vietnam or so other countries.
So they're having a bit of quarrel there. You know, you must cooperate to appreciate or depreciate the currency properly in an orderly manner, instead of having a sudden jump and
Yes.
cause panic among everybody.
Yeah, because we have seen some quite a volatile movement in the US JPY currency lately. But I would say that the JPY will become much stronger in a sense. Right? We can actually see the trend on that part. So let's wait and see and what comes up from the G7 summit, or are they strong enough to actually manipulate the exchange rate of the US and JPY?
Right now, US is the strongest in the world, right? So
Well, it seems since time memorial, everybody have been recognizing US to be the strongest.
that's why some economists now are a bit concerned if the US is too strong. Suddenly, it might crash due to some reason.
Yeah, it's quite similar to some movies when certain parties are getting too strong and certain superheroes are getting too strong. I believe that's our recent movie, Civil War.
Yeah, Civil War. Talk about movies.
Talk about movies. Okay.
Right, guys, we'll be back shortly with more interesting updates on ASEAN. Stay tuned, guys. Welcome back, folks. Before we bring on our main story for this edition, Eric is going to share with us his funny business moment. And the title of his story today is Smart Lawyer. Eric, you're not going to insult lawyers, right?
Not really. I'm giving them credit today.
Great, yeah. Go
A
on.
man went to his lawyer and told him, "My neighbor owes me $500 and he won't pay it up. What should I do?" "Do you have any proof he owes you the money?" asked the lawyer. "Nope," replied the man. "Okay then, write him a letter asking him for the $5,000 he owes you," said the lawyer. "But it's only 500, replied the man. "Precisely. That's what he will reply, and then you will have the proof."
Haha, that's very smart, right? Thanks, Eric, for that funny business moment. Welcome back to the show, guys. You are listening to ASEAN BIZ, your only choice for business updates covering ASEAN countries. I'm your host, Chia, and together with me is Eric Chong, and we bring you business news on everything that happens around the world, which involves ASEAN countries.
The title of our Durian main show today is Top 10 Skills for ASEAN Executive in 2020.
Eric, 2020 seemed to be very far away some time ago, right?
Yes, when we were talking about the Vision 2020 by our previous Prime Minister, we were calculating the number of years to reach 2020. But looks like it's just round the corner. There's just another 4 years more to go, or rather less than 4 years.
Talking about time flies.
Time
Those
flies.
days when we talk about 2020, you say, yeah, so long
So
lah. Don't
long
need to
lah.
talk about it
Talk
first.
until the cows come home.
You know, time really flies, and then within a short while, it seems like yesterday when we were talking about it, and now it's less than 4 years to go before we reach 2020.
And it sees that in this going to, or rather to reach 2020, most employees will need very different set of skills that are currently still not considered important yet.
Sounds
that's how
dangerous.
it sounds
Eric.
dangerous. So, or rather, everybody, individuals, employees, or entrepreneurs,
Yes.
please arm
So-
yourself with a different set of skills, and don't just harbor on what you know today.
Right. So let's bring our listeners up to date on what is required for them within the next few years. What the employers will be looking for when they hire people to work for them.
Firstly, I think there's a prerequisite for each individual is that the ability to think about multiple concepts simultaneously. Wow, this tall order, very powerful and very tall order. We got to look at creativity, the logicality of your thinking, reasoning, and problem sensitivities. Wow, this is really big words, and it's really give you a mouthful.
Talking about multiple concepts itself is dangerous. Most people can hardly grasp a single concept nowadays.
Yeah, but they tends to be very well versed in multitasking, not multiple concept.
You are talking about the younger guys, Gen Y people, millennials.
People. Okay, but I give it to surrender, and I found that these recent years, I really can't multitask anymore.
Okay, right.
Right? I got to do one task at a time and finish it as fast as possible. So multitasking for me is actually screw up the whole thing.
I believe, Eric, a lot of people are having the same problem, or rather having the same experience. They are telling me that it's better to focus on one task instead of multitasking, where you don't get the productivity in the end.
Yes, and every task you did is just like half, and it's not fully how would I say, fully completed.
Yeah, those days we thought multitasking is very cool. I can do so many things at the same time. But as time goes by, a lot of people realize that it's better to finish one job first rather than do everything together and not getting any job completed.
Precisely. But now we are talking about multiple concepts. There's another tall order.
After talking about the concepts, in the end, you still have to go and do the work. And talk about doing work nowadays, especially younger generation. They're very good with their fingers, but not so good with their hands.
So maybe, Andrew, you may just highlight to our listeners what sort of multiple concepts that the future actually looks into. Does that mean that it's a highly technological base, innovative base,
maybe
financial base,
like financial concepts, concepts regarding to marketing and technology,
But I believe that in the financial market, there's enough of multiple concepts, isn't it?
Yeah,
you can actually gross money out of nothing.
In fact, it's confusing already.
And it's so confusing. And concepts that actually put it as a financial derivative, if I'm not mistaken, how they term it. So it makes like you can actually generate money out of thin air.
Yeah, maybe one of the skills you need is to separate the dangerous concepts with the actual concepts that can work.
Okay, that counts for logical thinking and reasoning sensitivities.
Yes. Second on the list is negotiation skills, because many jobs will be taken over by machines as time goes by.
Yeah.
But negotiation skill, I believe, will not be taken over by machines.
Well, it's still a human skills. And
Eric, how would you like to negotiate with a machine?
Well, I think we can only talk in binaries.
I believe human beings still would like to negotiate with other fellow human beings, right?
Right, but machines do negotiate with machines. They are trying to, capture each other IPs. Right, so they are negotiating the network. But I think a lot of younger people are actually neglecting on the negotiation skills.
Because negotiation skill boils down to communication skills also. Today people communicate using WhatsApp and all that, and even within the same family, under the same roof, upstairs and downstairs, you have to text to call daddy to come down for dinner, and your brother to give up playing his iPad and stuff like that. Okay, so it means it's not less human already. You're relying on iPads and iPhones to communicate with
probably you rely on your emoticons for your negotiation skills. So every statement you put in emoticons to highlight your expressions and And how you feel about the negotiations. So I believe that it still boils down to human skills and human touch on the negotiation skills.
Right, you are not supposed to read emoticons. You are supposed to read body language.
Body language,
and a facial expression.
But sad to say, a lot of emoticons are actually replacing feelings.
Right, yeah.
And
so
body language.
The human being cannot recognize the other fellow human being's face, whether he's frowning or showing a sad face, because he's used to seeing only emoticons.
And you can't even listen to his voice because they will be texting each other on the phones rather than speaking over the phone.
Yeah, suddenly, hey, there's a voice. What to do with the voice, man?
So very soon, I think the vocal cord will be so-called obsolete.
Hey, Eric, I believe you are exaggerating a bit, lah. Okay. What's next on the list?
Well, they are looking at the service orientation skills, which computers cannot replace it.
Right, yeah.
These are looking at the service industries, especially the F&B industries. Yeah. Can you imagine a robot serving you fine dining?
Yeah, I mean today, young and old people complain about bad service. Waiters are not smiling, they are not placing the food correctly and stuff like that. But if you ask the younger people to actually do the service, I don't know whether they can do themselves or not. Complain is easy, right?
Complain is easy.
Yeah, especially at home, they complain their mothers and maids not doing their job properly, and they have to help in the cleaning and laundry and stuff. You know, there are so many complaints. But if you were to put them in the front line to do the servicing,
especially when you talk about the F&B, the housekeeping type. You know, I mean, looking at things, even the housekeeping of the hotel rooms, there are certain methods of how to lay the bed sheets, where to put the pillows, and it's a skills by itself.
You have to learn, right?
And how to place the toiletries inside the bathroom on the vanity top. So these are all service orientation skills, which you have to learn and pick it up.
Will be valuable skills by 2020.
And I don't think computers can replace this.
Yes.
Right. So far they have not invented any computers yet.
You will be rewarded and paid more if you know how to do these skills, right?
Yes, and you pay attention to more details, like the arrangement of so-called cutleries on the tables,
right? Yes,
and serving from which side of the customer side,
right?
You don't. I see a lot of waiters are actually not well trained, especially even though in a fine dining restaurant.
They never attend hotel management courses, right?
And it's very rude for them to actually serve across the table, but this happens very often. And Eric, I get very irritated when I see that.
Let me ask you, Eric, how many times have you sat on the table when the waiter or waitress just dump the food anywhere on the table without putting it in the correct customer's place? They just throw it any corner of the table and you are supposed to pick it up yourself. You know,
that's true.
Plenty of time. Service we are having nowadays, you know.
Yes, plenty of time. And I would say that they didn't even make a note to say what food they are serving. And let's say a table of 4 or 5, they hardly said, okay, now this one is the steak is on the table, or what is already been served. So they just dump on the table, then the guest or the customer have to fumble around to actually guess what is being served.
So this is very challenging. Sometimes the food looks a bit same, right?
So these are the things that are little things that a lot of F&B industries are neglecting at this moment.
I don't know whether it's the management problem or it's, of course, the staff are having problem. They don't know what to do, and definitely they are not well trained, right?
Yeah, I would say that this boils down to the management problems and the person who runs the F&B outlet at that particular place. They try to, how would I say that, put the new workers or untrained workers too fast in the front line.
Yeah, you know, talking about
that, they have not put them in yet.
Yeah, I was talking to a shopping complex management staff, and this gentleman, he's very well traveled. He says he has been to Thailand, Philippines, and all the ASEAN countries. And he says our country, Malaysia, is really bad. You know, he says in Thailand, the waitress and everybody smiles at you and says thank you and stuff like that. And Philippines, they serve you and call you sir and thank you 3 bags full, you know. But in Malaysia, they don't bother you. They serve you with a sad face and just throw stuff on your table and expect you to eat it.
Yeah, and at times you are wondering, are we paying good dollars for this kind of service, or what? Are we just so-called irritation to them when we walk into their shops?
Yeah, I don't know how they do their business actually, but I believe as Malaysians, most of us are used to it already. That's the kind of service you get almost everywhere, even in leading restaurants.
Restaurant, leading hotels also happens that way.
Not only the Cekai 6:30 food outlet, but the reputable ones also bad service.
So those who are listening on from the F&B side, please back up, because now we are voicing.
Sorry, we are not having two very patriotic.
We are voicing our complaints over the air, which we can't do it because when we do it in the restaurant, probably our food will be spit with slivers.
Hey Eric, we are doing some constructive criticism, which we hope some managers will pick up and improve.
But looking at it, I did meet quite a number of complaints to some food outlets in the past. But looking at it, even the boss does not appreciate your complaints. He will actually counter your complaints and felt that you are actually bothersome.
Yeah, talking about that, the entrepreneurs, especially food outlets, their attitude is not so good. They don't have a learning attitude. And usually when customers complain, you should treat it as something very valuable. Because customers usually don't complain. They just give up going to that place again. That's all. Which is even worse.
Even worse. You know,
so if customers take the trouble to give you a complaint, you should take it seriously and
which means they wanted to bounce back again to see that you improve.
You should give him a free meal to start with.
Okay. So that boils down to the next thing. It's called judgment and decision making, which means that the managers have to put in his judgment correctly and decide what he's going to do should the complaints comes in.
I believe, Eric, this has something to do with increased computerization in our world, which takes away our need to make judgments, right?
Yeah, even takes away our needs to do mental calculations.
So this will become an increasingly more valuable skill as time goes by, where you can make your judgment, have your own discretion to show what is correct and what is not so correct.
Yes, and put the whole thing into a proper scopes. It all boils down to emotional intelligence, or your EQ.
Yes, this is also very important, right?
So looking at it, the future skills for 2020 is all boils down to human skills and not so much our technical skills.
Right.
So I believe that those who are in the market, whether you are the boss or you are the employees, right, do arm yourself with more human skills.
Yeah, that's why we are not talking only to employees, but to entrepreneurs themselves also. These are the skills that businessmen and bosses will also need to possess to make a success of their business, right?
Yes, and the advancements in the technologies will only assist you to run a much more smoother business. It's not there to replace your business decision making.
Yeah, the machines can help you in decision making, but you will have to make the final decision, right?
Correct. So we are looking at more of human skills, emotional skills, and not so much of technical skills. Well, okay, we will take a short break and be back with our story shortly. Stay tuned, guys.
Welcome back. You're listening to ASEAN Biz, and our Durian Main story today is Top 10 Skills for ASEAN Executives in 2020. But before we continue with the concluding part of our story today, Eric will give us a quick health tip. Now, Eric is our health and fitness coach, and he runs the 100-kilometer marathon himself. His health tip story for today is what to eat before and after every kind of workout.
Thanks, Andrew. I believe in the previous episode, I talked about what to eat before and during and after your cardio workout. So today I'm going to talk about strength training. Okay, strength training and cardio training are two different things. Okay, in strength training, you got to eat a balanced meal with carbs and proteins an hour or two before you hit the weights. and have plenty of fluids on hand for the workout. Carbs will help prevent muscle breakdowns and fatigue, while protein helps regulate growth and repair, says the Marie Spano, a resident dietitian and a sport nutritionist for Atlanta Hawks. Fill up, stick to water for sessions under an hour. Choose a sports drink if you are lifting for longer. The carbs in the sports drink will give you extra energy. For a quick drink that replenishes electrolytes, try the fruity and dissolvable type where you can just pop into your drinking water and you just drink it while you are doing the workout. Then after the workout, how to recover from it. Protein holds the healing power your body needs now, says the Kaufman. Our muscle undergo tears and stress that can be repaired only by the amino acids in protein. Sips of water or almond milk based whey protein shake containing 20 to 25 grams of protein within an hour. If you prefer a solid source of fuel, have a protein bar that packs 20 grams of protein or up to 270 calories. Is best for after any high intensity sessions. So bear in mind that after your workout, to recover from all the muscle tears, it's best to have a protein food. Okay? So not so much of a pakute and those things. So within an hour, make sure you get good protein into your body to help you repair all the muscle tears.
You mean we are not supposed to go immediately after our favorite bakute?
Definitely not. You can have your bakute maybe 3 hours later after your workout to let your body rest and absorb all the proper nutrients that went into your body right
that
after
means
the
I
workout.
just need to take a short rest before going for bakute lah.
Yes, you still can have your bakute because bakute is still protein. You have meat.
Great, yeah. Thanks, Eric, for that useful health tip. Let's continue with our Durian main story today. That is top 10 skills for ASEAN executives in 2020.
So continue from our previous break. Okay, we are talking about human skills and emotional intelligence. Now to continue back, you need what other things is coordinating with others. So in short, is teamwork. How you coordinate with others.
Yeah, unlike the smartphone or the iPad, you can't do teamwork all by yourself. Teamwork means you need to have a team, right?
You need to have a team. You can on the smartphone you can just have a group.
It's always a singles player, no need teamwork.
No need teamwork. So the group will just get informed only. They don't actually place out in the so-called activities or the tasks being deployed.
So in a business, I believe it's same like a football team where one person cannot play the whole game. You need help from your colleagues, your superiors or subordinates. Okay, that's why you need to coordinate with them by showing a long sour face, by patronizing them,
and
by ignoring them.
And be aware that within every team, there always one guy or one person who would like to stand out. Right, same thing like a football team. We can see that sometimes the goalie also want to become the striker.
Yeah,
You know?
some team players think that they can play the whole game themselves. So how to coordinate and work with these people, right?
So this boils
These are
down
the
to
skills you need to learn and
human
acquire.
skills required to how to coordinate your team. And being a good team manager, I would say is that you'll be able to identify this kind of players and how to place them accordingly. You don't actually write them off, and you just have to place them accordingly.
I think the most important factor in teamwork is to play to their strength. Because
Yes.
all of us got strengths and weaknesses. And the problem why most teams break down is that the team players tend to look more on their
the
friends' weaknesses. Hey, this guy cannot do this, cannot do that, you know. Don't look at that part that they cannot do. Look at those
the
parts
part
that
they
they
can
can
do and
yeah.
do well, and how
try
to enhance it.
Yeah, leverage on their skills and their strength, right?
So that's all boils down to people management. It's how you manage these kind of people
Again, human skills.
against this human skill, and you don't ask them to improve on their weaknesses. Just give them more things to enhance what they're good at and to improve on what they are good at.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to improve our weaknesses, but that will take some time,
Take
right?
some time. Just to make it more effective, just go for their strength rather than the weaknesses. Right? Everybody have their strength and weaknesses. So a good people manager would actually knows how to identify.
Right. We are talking about people manager. The next on the list is people management, which sounds more like coordinating with others, but this time you are more of the supervisor or the manager, where you manage people.
Yes, and how you put your players into a proper perspective.
People with different skill sets, different temperaments, different what they call idiosyncrasies, different attitudes. All funny kind of characters we have around us.
Because when we are working with people, you have tons and tons of different characters, and it's not like machines. Machines is just made out of binaries and circuits. That's all. Then the next thing we look at is the creativity and resourcefulness.
Which means why this skill is listed as a very essential skill in 2020. I believe people are getting less creative and resourceful now
because they have Mr. Google.
Right. Yeah.
Everything they don't know, they ask Mr. Google. But at times, Mr. Google might not have the answer, and at times, Mr. Google might not give you the correct thing.
Yes, Google can give you a lot of information, but sometimes you need a little bit of wisdom to piece together all the information, right?
Yes.
Otherwise, you just act on whatever that's given to you. It may not be correct. So you need to be a bit creative in putting things together.
And put things together, you need critical thinking.
Yes, that is the thing that puts things together. Because some things do not fit into the picture. And Google tells you that that's the thing, so you just
how do you think about putting a square peg into a round hole? So that comes down to complex problem solving. Trying to put a square peg into a round hole.
I mean, in real life, the solutions that we have when we learn in the classroom, things like concepts, strategy, tactics, when you actually want to apply in what they call situational problem, you have to understand that within that situation, what we learn in school or from the books may not be practical
or applicable
there, because certain people may have certain objections or resistance to us applying that solution.
And also depends on geographically where are you, because the different part of the world will give you different type of resources to actually resolve certain problems. So you have to adapt to your geographical situations.
Yeah, that's why it's called complex problem solving.
So I believe that whether you are running a business or you are employees, all these skills plays a very important role for you to meet the future. And no machines can actually replace all these parts.
Even though I believe right now they have already created computers that are so complex that can have all the memory of the human species on the planet.
And recently, just before I leave the house, this morning I saw a particular advertisement about this car of the future. It's actually can drive itself, smart cars, and it has all sorts of technology to actually helps a person to drive. So the bottom line is, this car actually takes out the fun of driving.
Yeah.
So can you imagine you don't have the fun of driving? So
maybe Eric, today we say that people have fun doing different things compared to those days where we play marbles, we fly kites, we play tops, we jump on the trains, we catch spiders, we enjoy doing all those stuff, which the generation today say, hey, that's stupid, man.
Not really, man, not really, Andrew. And in fact, this particular remark makes from my daughter. They says that I really wish that we were born in your era.
Yeah,
things are getting
appreciate, right?
Things are so physical rather than physical and tactile, and the current world is actually non-physical and non-tactile. So these are the situations that give a rise to a lot of problems to human skills, which they loses the hand-eyes coordinations and the sense of feeling.
Yeah, that's why everything has got its pros and cons. I was talking to a group of gentlemen last night over dinner, and they were saying that during our time, we do listen to our parents. But today, our children don't really listen to us.
Yeah, because they felt that they are smarter than the parents nowadays.
Yeah, I explained to them, my interpretation of what is happening is that those days our parents have this favorite verse. Hey son, you must listen to my advice because I eat salt more than you eat rice. And I walk bridges more than you walk roads. Okay. But today, if we were to tell the same thing to our children, imagine what would be the response.
Yeah, probably they say that that's the whole problem with your health. You eaten too much of salt.
No, Eric. Their standard reply would be, hey dad, in your days, they haven't invented Google yet. Which is true.
It's true.
Today, kids, they have so much information that we don't have. And why children are resistant to what the parents tell them is that a lot of times, people like us, our age and older, we are actually outdated without us realizing it.
And at times, our era tends to be stagnant.
And we are arrogant. We thought we know everything.
Okay? That's true. Especially when it comes to education.
Yeah, let me give you an example, Eric. For example, you tell people, hey son, money makes money, man. Without money, how can you do this project? So the kids gets feel like quite angry because over the internet, some of them have discovered that this is not true.
This is not true, and
money is a dangerous concept which the old man is still clinging on to.
And plenty of tycoons actually makes a lot of money without money.
Right? Yeah, and sometimes the old man tells the kid, "Hey, no risk, no gain, man. You want to do something, you must take some risk." And here you go, the young boy through the internet, through Google, he has found that this is also not true.
Risk is only happens when you're trapped into something that you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know what you're doing. That's why it's risky. But the old man still haven't learned that, and they're still telling the kid, no risk, no gain, and then money makes money. And when it comes to health, they keep telling the kid, you must do this, must do that. Whereas all these concepts and is already outdated.
I would say they are myth. Whether we are harboring on myth or we are harboring on facts.
Yeah, so then you find that he's surprised that there's a communication breakdown and there's a generation gap. Because he didn't realize that what he's telling the kid is wrong.
So I believe that parents of our era, please arm yourself with more knowledge and relearn yourself or re-engineer yourself to actually bridge the gap.
Right, yes. Last night I was talking to this group of gentlemen. There was a lady there, and she says she is studying some of the textbooks and reading material that her son is going through. Why? Because she wants to know him better, to understand what these kids nowadays they are learning and what they are exposed to, in order to bridge the generation gap. And she says that it's very useful. I didn't know that my son is reading all this stuff, and I myself not updated.
Yeah, it's true. So let's keep our mind open and look at things in a different light.
Yeah. So 2020, we have to upgrade our skills. Not only the younger folks, but also the older folks.
You need to relearn or re-engineer yourself, or arm yourself with a new set of skills and new set of knowledge.
Probably, Eric, it's the reverse. The young people need to arm themselves with more human skills, and the older folks
need to arm themselves with more technological skills. Well, it's true. We still have friends who hardly use email at all.
Yeah, and still got friends who can't use Waze, don't know how to use WhatsApp, It's very sad, man.
It's sad. So technology is for us to ease our life. It's not to replace our life. So bear that in mind.
Great. Alright, folks. That's all the time we have for today. We hope you've enjoyed our show, and we'll be back with a brand new story for our Durian May show on ASEAN Biz in the next edition.
Thank you and goodbye.